Bitcoin just breaking $70,000, Ethereum approaching $4,000. In this video, I want to break down the Bitcoin daily chart, some really nice targets, bullish targets for Bitcoin to the upside. One main barrier that I want to discuss in this video, Ethereum approaching 4,000, yes, but you zoom out on Ethereum chart, pretty much approaching all-time highs for Ethereum. And also, just this chart indicative of an altcoin season that we've been waiting for. And right now, post-Bitcoin halving, the time is getting very close. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. We're going to dive into this video. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and how the Ethereum charts really give us some hints for ADA and AVAX and other altcoins. Let's start with Bitcoin. I want to just go to the daily chart. This is the setup. There's so much going on here. I want to talk about a couple targets to the upside. Before I do that, I want to point one thing out, one very simple thing out on the weekly chart. And that is just getting a grasp on where we are in the cycles. Once again, Bitcoin halving just happened. In my view, I've talked a lot about this move right here out of the bear market. A lot of people, I think, thinking, man, this could be a triple top. This is looking bad. But every cycle, we have that around this time frame. We go back to the last cycle, you know, when Bitcoin was at a very similar area post-halving, right here, some resistance. Is this a double top, right, from the cycle before that? And then same thing every cycle. This double top, triple top type of fear. But here's the thing. If you go to the weekly oscillator here, this RSI, slower moving momentum oscillator, exiting this exiting the bear market, as you can see here, it is such a nice picture. The exit of momentum from oversold to overbought, right? But not only that, this last couple of months of consolidation that we've had, this picture of the momentum falling and coming back down out of overbought and just preparing itself for post-Bitcoin halving gives such a strong sense and such a strong similarity to the cycle 2 cycles ago back here when Bitcoin was doing something similar, right? It was actually kind of interacting right here at Bitcoin halving in the overbought territory, cooling down, overbought, cooling down. Very similar vibe. So the point I'm trying to make on that chart is this. Bitcoin halving just happened. We are entering a new era in crypto. I genuinely think we are. Bitcoin halving just happened, and Bitcoin has cooled down out of overbought, and we're just getting ready to enter this area on this chart. Now, last cycle, when Bitcoin was kind of breaking those bull market doors last cycle, Bitcoin was at a very similar area on the RSI, and this meant huge gains in store. So Bitcoin on the daily, a couple things I want to talk about. There's a resistance area to watch for, but it's almost a bullish area because it's a really bullish setup. First off, if we zoom out on the Bitcoin chart, if we look at the macro rising wedge that we've been talking a lot about, I really just can't wait for the target to be hit. This rising wedge here, Bitcoin broke out of in February. We still have the target to the upside in like the mid 80s. That's the target to the upside. We broke out of the wedge. We revisited the wedge perfectly. It's such a nice technical move from a pattern perspective. It's a macro pattern, right? So this took months to get that throwback to the apex of the pattern. We've bounced off of it. Now, what's going on in the daily? We have the mid 80s for the target out of that macro, but on the daily, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Mainly one thing. It's just this picture. It's the inverse head and shoulders story, right? And it's, for me, when I glance at this chart, I've been doing technical analysis for a while over the years. I just keep seeing it all over the place. And there's multiple here. And what I want to show you is just what I'm talking about. Kind of this, which I think we've discussed, this inverse head and shoulders, which is right here, left shoulder, head, right shoulders. It's a falling neckline on that inverse head and shoulders. But even if you just look at the consolidation over the last couple of months or so, you can see kind of just inverse head and shoulders type of setup, right? Left shoulder, head, right? And then maybe we're in a right shoulder right now. Maybe it's a very small right shoulder. Maybe Bitcoin has to come down to these moving averages, or, you know, this trend line right here, we get a deeper right shoulder, but there's a inverse head and shoulders there potentially in play. And then maybe most compelling on the short term is this. We have this trend line from back here to where Bitcoin is right now, and we have kind of another inverse head and shoulders with a rising neckline. This could be an incredibly bullish setup for Bitcoin, and that could play out sooner than later, but that's one of the things I'm watching for. Can Bitcoin even break this neckline area? That neckline area, just to give you a sense, as far as today goes, is right around 72,700. That's really not a big move for Bitcoin to make. But notice what's there. It's just resistance back here. huge area. All-time high for Bitcoin is right in that vicinity. If Bitcoin can break out of that area, the target out of the inverse head and shoulders with this upward sloping neckline is the mid-80s as well. So we have a couple targets to the mid-80s, that macro target to the mid-80s and the shorter-term target to the mid-80s. And so just look at that picture, though. And there's no telling, right? Just because we see that the bulls are kind of maybe ready to make a step to the upside, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. But when I look at that consolidation on Bitcoin, I even look at the RSI on the daily chart, it is so primed for an explosive move to the upside. And oftentimes we'll see the RSI just make a really nice higher high, higher low move before an explosive move. You go back here, Bitcoin higher high, higher low, it's kind of just consolidating for a while, and then all of a sudden, Bitcoin price, explosive move to the upside. Bitcoin could be very much in store for that right now. And that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin. And to the downside, there are things in play. We even kind of alluded to it very briefly. The area down here, which is the apex of that massive rising wedge. We have the 20-day moving average around 65.8 and the 50-day moving average around 65. That's an area to always be on the lookout for support if Bitcoin's not going to make that breakout. But that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin. Let's go to Ethereum because I really wanted to talk about Ethereum. It's an exciting chart for multiple reasons. Number one, because Ethereum spot ETF, we know what just happened there. It got approved. And this happening at this stage of the cycle where I keep talking about this pendulum that's swinging into our direction, and it really is. And that Ethereum ETF approval last week was a really big piece of that puzzle. But we have all of this happening and aligning. We have Trump kind of leading in the presidency race, and just he's a bull. He's a crypto bull now. And I know many people are like, oh, it's because he's got to get those votes. The leading candidate is a crypto bull, everybody. And no matter how you even feel about politics, what could be happening on the macro landscape of crypto in the United States of America, we just had FIT 21 pass the House last week. What could be setting up right now is something that we've never seen before. And if you can't get past the surface of politics, then I don't know how you can't see that. So don't complain or come at me that I'm talking about politics. This is a big deal. We need to change anyway. I'll say that right off the bat. I genuinely think that. But for crypto, this is massive. Bitcoin halving just happened. We're just getting ready to enter this cycle that I think is going to happen, another bull market. And Ethereum right now testing this Fibonacci. And I want to talk about that and what that means for altcoin season. If we're looking at this bull market high for Ethereum to the bear market low for Ethereum, check this out. This green rectangle area, the Fibonacci range is a lower high range. Ethereum tested the 786 prior to the Bitcoin halving, that yellow line that you see there. Tested the 786 in beginning of March, and then we consolidated to the 20. Ethereum bounces off the 20, right now testing the upper range of that area. The reason why it's so important to me for Ethereum and altcoins, and we're going to look at ADA and AVAX, is if you look at last cycle, check this out. There's Ethereum's Fibonacci being broken last cycle, and you can notice it was getting ready to break all-time high while breaking that Fibonacci, right? And then it broke all-time high. But right here, and this is basically January's end of December into January, Ethereum is making this move. What did that kick off? That really just kicked off altcoin season last cycle. And right now, once again, Ethereum is doing this very similar move. We haven't broken up, but that's the area I'm watching for Ethereum. If Ethereum can escape here, we might be getting ready to see altcoin season begin. You go to a Bitcoin dominance chart, I'll tell you what, one thing, it's ready, especially now that we're post-Bitcoin halving. I feel way more comfortable with it. It could happen sooner than previous cycles. You can see previous cycles, Bitcoin dominance fell months after Bitcoin halving, right? These white lines. This time, is it going to happen sooner? It very well could, but we'll continue watching, but it's ready in my view. We'll continue watching the 20-week, the 50-week down here at around 52%. But if we start falling and Bitcoin starts falling through that area on the dominance chart, I think it's game on for altcoins. And if you go to Ethereum, again, last January, just to give you a sense, that's when it was breaking those bull market doors, we can call it, for Ethereum. Check out ADA, and then we'll also look at AVAX. But here's ADA last cycle. We'll just go to January. There's Bitcoin bull doors being broken. Where's January? January is right here. That is Ethereum bull doors being broken. ADA making a really nice breakout into its own bull market. And check this out. When that happened, ADA was still very far away from all-time highs from the previous cycle. You see that? So on the ADA chart, here's Ethereum breaking this key area. This is what ADA is doing. And it had a ways to go before it broke its own all-time highs. And right now, we're in such a similar area. ADA has a ways to go before it breaks its own all-time highs. Ethereum is testing that lower high Fibonacci, but this could be it. This could be what kicks off altcoin season. And I want to make a note throughout this. This is speculative. There's no guarantee that this will repeat. But you all know I've been trying to be patient with altcoins, in particular ADA, in terms of waiting for the Bitcoin halving, in terms of just waiting for it to do what it did last cycle. Because so far, it's been on pace. You go to AVAX chart. We zoom out on an AVAX chart, and you can just see this is AVAX in January 2021 when Ethereum was kind of breaking its bull market door area. Here's Bitcoin halving. And look at AVAX last cycle, just kind of trickling down, and then Ethereum broke that area, and then boom, AVAX absolutely went crazy. I think Ethereum is kicking off something similar once again for coins like ADA, AVAX, and really altcoins in general. So here's AVAX zoomed in on the daily, just a really nice move. If you just look at the consolidation of these moving averages, and even AVAX actually bouncing right off that 20-day, now on the daily above the 20, the 50, and the 200, all three moving averages. If we go visit ADA, want to just make a note of this, ADA still has a ways to go. We looked at last cycle how these two kind of moved differently. They weren't exactly on pace with each other. So I will be very interested to see when ADA can get above all moving averages. And just notice right now on the ADA chart, ADA's at the 50-day moving average, right below 48 cents. And the 200-day moving average, 53 cents. I think ADA could have this moment where it kind of takes off by itself, does its own thing, kind of catches up to these indicators where we have AVAX already above these indicators. So it's going to be really exciting to watch what happens this week. What's going to be really interesting and telling will be to see, can Ethereum even break through this area? Right now, we have 6 days, 7 hours left of this weekly candle. How is this week going to end for Ethereum? I think that's going to have a lot to do with what altcoins do in the shorter term. But right now, it is like that $4,000 area for Ethereum. That is right around the 786 of that Fibonacci. Ethereum breaks that and closes a really strong candle above that. I really think it's a very bullish indicator. So that's what I'm watching as we start this new week. I hope you're doing well out there, everybody. Please, if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe, turn notifications on, hit that like button. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.